to motivate you through whatever you've been going through. We can talk about it. We ain't passing no judgment. So don't be ashamed. It's all the same. Stay in your lane. Your lane. It's whatever your real life looks like. Stay in your lane. Come out the dark and don't be ashamed. Your lane. Let's have a conversation on what we face every day. Tune into your lane talk show. It makes us feel good just to know we're not alone. No more will we feel isolated and cast aside. I want you to come out the dark. Just don't be afraid of your heart. So don't be ashamed. It's all the same. Stay in your lane. Your lane. It's whatever your real life looks like. Stay in your lane. Come out the dark and don't be ashamed. Your lane. Let's have a conversation on what we face every day. It's your lane talk show with Coach Trish Hannah.
Hello. Welcome everyone to another really good episode of Your Lane Talk Show with your girl, Coach Trish Hannah, the talk show where we educate, empower, and encourage women of all ages. I'm so glad to be in your company today. I just want to get straight into what we're doing. But before we do that, I want to just talk a little bit about last week's show. Last week, of course, the topic that really gets the depth and the recognition that it deserves, the depth of recognition that it deserves. The topic was what stay-at-home moms wish people really knew. And it was a show where we hosted a present and past stay-at-home mom, one who spent, I think she said about 10 years at home, and then she just decided about a year ago to go back into the workforce. And then another lady who is presently, a stay-at-home mom, and both of them shared same sentiments, as far as just making sure that they get the best or do the best for their children, protecting them from, the various, not saying every school is like this now, but you do have some schools that are a little toxic. Okay, so wanting to teach them, the principles of God, before even going out there, efficiently and effectively preparing them for if they decide to take their children to school. So we got a lot about that. We got a lot of them sharing how, sometimes they're overlooked. Sometimes, when you do go places and people ask, well, where do you work? And then they would say, hey, I'm a stay-at-home mom. And it's like this look shared. There's a look that people give like, oh, okay, well, you really don't do nothing. What? Being a stay-at-home mom, as we know, is a full-time job. I only get to taste a little bit of it during breaks, like summer breaks and all this other stuff. And sometimes I'd be pulling out whatever little bit of hair I have left. Because I'm like, how these people do it? But listen, that's just, if you want to know more about it, if you are a stay-at-home mom, you want to know more about this particular show, you want to find your tribe, go to episode 134 on YouTube, Coach Trish Hannah, what stay-at-home moms wish people really knew. Now, Your Lane Talk Show has various ways that we can be heard. Of course, the Star 106.5 FM dial, channel 976 on cable. And you can watch us on Facebook on Your Lane Life Coaching's Facebook page or YouTube on Coach Trish Hannah's YouTube page. And if you have the In Faith mobile app, you can find us there as well. All right. Your Lane episode 135, From Pen to Published. Your guide to becoming an author is brought to you by New Birth Ministries International and YBE Productions. We will be giving away 2 VIP passes today, to Jacqueline Carr's You Will Win concert that's happening June 27th at the Nassau Cruise Port Amphitheater. Tickets are available at Classy Cuts Beauty Salon, East Street South, or www.bahamastickets.com. If you are an author, or of at least 2 books. Come on, you got to have at least 2 books. At least 2 books, I will give you a chance to win a VIP ticket to Jacqueline's Card You Will Win concert, We're also brought to you by Pastor Kevin and Deidre Ewing's Prayer That Workbook. Of course, it's Pastor Kevin's book, but Deidre's support my soul says she read a book too. All right. It's the number one bestseller on Amazon. And of course, if you aren't able to win it today, you can purchase it at Da Vinci Printing, located in Village Road Shopping Plaza. We are also giving away a book from Romelda Rose Designs, Dr. Jillian Curry. All right. Jillian Curry Williams. Her book is From Flicker to Flame. All right. And if you do not have a chance to win this as well, you can also purchase it at Da Vinci Printing on Village Road. So the only thing I need you to do is one, tune in. Two, if you are an author, or let me stretch it, or an aspiring author. All right. I'm going to give that to you. An aspiring author. All right. I want you to write down some notes because I'm going to ask you some questions. And of course, we go by first, second, third. I think it's about 4 or 5 different, 1, 2, 3, 4 giveaways today. So I'll get the 4th person. So each person will have an opportunity to win something. All right. So if you're an author or of 2 or more books, you'll get, we'll decide that we use that discretion. And then if you're an aspiring author, you'll be like, look, man, I really want to write this book. I have some things pending. I ain't really published it yet, but I on my way. All right. We're giving you a chance to win something too. And of course, I can just say this and don't have to proof, right? Okay. All right. All right. We're also brought to you by John Shoe Store and Accessories, Your Lane Life Coaching, Emmanuel Medical Center. We want you to take charge of your health with Emmanuel Medical Center, from annual physicals to managing diabetes, hypertension, and more. They provide compassionate, comprehensive care for all ages. Call 393-9355 today. That's Emmanuel Medical Center, helping you achieve wellness. We're also brought to you by Lysol Disinfectant, y'all. Sickness can spread fast, but with Lysol, you can go into protect mode. Nothing kills more viruses on more surfaces than Lysol Disinfectant Spray. Now, every household has Lysol Disinfectant. They're distributed by Thompson Trading. Go ahead. If you don't have one, go and get one today. Del Monte is another proud sponsor, and it's all about quality with non-GMO ingredients and BPA-free packaging. Every can is packed with fresh, nutritious goodness. Perfect for quick snacks or hearty meals. You can find Del Monte at your favorite food store. Fresh taste, smart choices. Distributed by Thompson Trading. We're also brought to you by Airwick. Fill your home with the fresh, inviting scents of Airwick, from floral to fruity, warm to refreshing. There's a fragrance for every mood. With long-lasting freshness, Airwick transforms any space into a welcoming retreat. You can find yours today. Airwick, home is in the air. Excuse me, distributed by Thompson Trading. And we're also brought to you by Tropical Gyros. They have 3 locations to serve you: Rosetta and Mackey Street, JFK Plaza, Prince Charles, and Port Lucaya, Freeport, y'all. Yeah. They open up to my Freeport listeners. Yeah, go get your Tropical Gyro, child. Y'all ever tasted jerk chicken salad? Oh my gosh, your mouth is be watering. And guess what? Every sauce that is there has been handmade specifically and crafted only by the chef, Kevin. Okay, Chef Kevin Kalma does everything. He ain't just picking up one piece of ketchup and then just throwing it on your food. No, he's actually doing those. All those ingredients are done specifically for him, for you, custom made by him. Okay, just wanted to put that in there. Juicy. I ain't never had one of his gyros without some sauce coming down from the 2 sides of my mouth. Okay. All right. Let's get into the guest introduction. Woo. We have with us Linnell Elle Clark. Okay. Known as Elle Sapphire. All right. For those who know her by that. And she's the co-owner of Through the Pages Bookstore, a store that sells Bahamian literature. She is a 4 times Amazon best-selling author, international speaker, mentor, and member of Forbes BLK Elle Fuels Empowerment. She volunteers with the Bahamas Crisis Center and FOAM, featured in Sheen, Rolling Out, The HuffPost, and Reader's Digest. She founded I Am Queen magazine, celebrating everyday resilience. She is the host of the Rewired Crowns podcast, where she discusses stories of triumph. All right. A retired detective after 12 years, she overcame trauma and now guides others to reclaim their strength. Elle is also a devoted mother of 4. Now, we've had her on the show before. And just as some listeners have stated, if you look at her, she She looks nothing like a mother of four. I don't know what is going on and what is in her water, but whatever it is, we need to ask her and find out. All right, she's a beautiful lady inside and out, a God-fearing woman, if I could say so myself, and I'm excited to have her on Your Lane Talk Show once again. Welcome, Elle.
Thank you so much, Trish, for having me again on your amazing show. It is good to be in studio with you.
It is good to have you. So now, I mean, because the last time we were here, we spoke about the trauma, all those other issues that was going on from your past, and the show was so enlightening, if I must say, right? Excuse me, I need to get some water. Beats, if you have an opportunity, get me some water, please. My throat a little dry. Okay, so I wanted to share, before we even get into anything, what was your first book? All right, we're just gonna ask straight and plain, what was your first book and what inspired you to write it? Because as we read through this, you did 4 Amazon best-selling. I don't know if it was 4 books in total, but those 4 were the best-selling. What inspired you? Which was your first book and what inspired you to write it?
My first book does depict the trauma that I experienced. So that book is titled "How I Escaped the Prison of Rape: The Journey to Total Freedom."
Oh.
And so that book tells the tale of everything that I would have walked through, the rape, the molestation. And so in that particular book, I not only share the story, but I share how God was able to help me to get through it and also use it to be able to help others as well. And so what inspired me, I always wanted to write a book, and I think I shared it on the last show that I was on, that I remember being in the 5th grade and I said, I'm going to write a book that is going to change the world.
Wow.
And not understanding what I would have to walk through in order to have that book
together.
written. Because a lot of times we like to talk about the end product, but we don't realize that there's a process to get there. And
that journey.
That journey ain't always pretty, right? And so inspired me. Thank you so very much. That is what inspired me to write the book, because I wanted to help those who walked a similar journey as myself to get through what they have walked through. Now, with the second part of the question, what was it?
Well, you answered that. What inspired you to write it? Yeah. So thank you for that. And so while even thinking about that, what's the first thing you think someone should do when they feel called to write a book, but don't know where to start?
Wow. I would say just start documenting. Just start documenting. Even though I knew I was going to write a book, I'm not sure exactly which way to turn, because I was only in the 5th grade at that time. I did a lot of journaling. And no, I didn't have all of those journals by the time I actually had the written book, but it allowed me to search within myself and to take my story and put it on paper, right? And that in doing that, that helped, that became like a therapy, because I started to realize that some of the things that I looked at and my perception of certain things was completely off. And so starting to journal, I mean, this may sound simple, but it allows you to get the emotions on the inside of you on paper.
Right.
And a lot of times when you're able to get that out, that is the first step for healing as well, because now you're not as upset as you were before. And then the book, some people start off, especially with books about their testimony, they start off in rage. And by the time as they complete that book, they'll be like, you know what? I don't really think I should release this. And so I think it is important for you to get the emotion out and just start journaling your story first. Start with journaling.
I think journaling is quite therapeutic. I do it all the time. And it's amazing how you do have people, I think it's what's her name? Anne Franklin. I can't remember her name, but she wrote books based on her journals. So it's like some people even just use their journals and then form it into a book. So I think that's so amazing to first of all, like you said, to heal. And then I know of someone who we're going to talk about that in a moment, but I know of someone who wrote about their experience, took it to an editor, and the editor said to them, hey, this sounds too angry. You need to tone it down a notch.
Now that you bring that up, right? You asked me what was my first book, and I just you really just sparked something that I was thinking about. That really wasn't my first book. Now, that was my first published book, but my very first book was a book of poems, right?
Okay.
And I wrote it, and it was the only person I allowed to read it was my godmother. And when she read it, now at the time, she wasn't like a woman of faith, right? And when she read it, that's exactly what she said. She said, this is dark.
Wow.
She said, this is angry. She said, you cannot release this to the public. And at the time, because knowing that she was not a woman of faith and she said that,
Yeah.
I was like, that this really have to be dark because she doesn't even, she doesn't even confess Christ and
Right.
she's saying that this is dark. Now,
Yeah.
at the time, I was not saved. From her, I realized, no, I'm not going to infect the population with this anger, and I destroyed that. So I know exactly what you're talking about, because as you began to talk about it, I realized that wasn't my first book. That's my first published book.
Yeah.
But the first book that I actually wrote was a book that I could not release because I was still angry.
So tell me about the other books. Tell me about the other ones the
bestsellers?
other 3 that are bestsellers.
The second one would be Eyes of Bohemian Princess. And so the cover, I think a lot of people are enamored by the cover, and also the word. It's an empowerment book. It's really us celebrating who we are as Bahamians. And you have the Disney princesses. Everybody, Ariel was my favorite Disney princess, and everybody, Brave and all these other ones. But where is the Bahamian princess? And so that particular book is a bestseller. I had a lot of tourists, a lot of guests, as well as on Amazon, because that's where it first became Amazon bestseller, but it also became a bestseller in our store as well. And so I think the story, because it's a story of empowerment, and it's actually us celebrating, the fact that, yes, I'm not the princess that sits up in London drinking tea.
Right.
I am the one that is in the kitchen with my Grammy. She's teaching me how to make Johnny cake and sauce. And yes, I climb trees sometimes, and sometimes I play marbles with my brothers or my cousins, but that doesn't take away from the royalty of who I am. Even though I may not be the one in the puffy dresses, but we are still royal in our culture. And I think it's so important for us to appreciate where we are, because when we start to compare, okay, well, princesses over there look like this.
Yeah.
But why does the princesses, am I really a princess if I'm not wearing a crown? No, because our crown doesn't have to be something that's physical. This have to be something that is mental, something that you believe in your spirit, that you're already wearing the crown, even though you don't have a physical manifestation at this time. And so Eyes of Bohemian Princess is another bestseller that I had, as well as there is one that I wrote. What is it? It's something about my little one, and I can't remember, but it's for babies, for parents whose children are in the NICU ward. Now, I have never experienced that personally, but I remember one day the Lord just telling me, and it's a book of just scriptures that are dedicated to speaking life into children.
Wow.
And so I remember one day the Lord just waking me up and he said, I need you to write this book, and I just need you to put the scriptures together. It's really you just putting collaborating and really just compiling and putting the scriptures together for parents to speak over their children who may be in the NICU ward. And I was like, God, but this don't make no sense, because I don't have a personal experience with this. And I remember I said, okay, I'm just going to be obedient. And I wrote the book. Listen to me. The amount of persons that purchased that book even without advertisement on Amazon was amazing. I know that was a God thing. And then there were parents that actually purchased the book that came back to me and said that they was declaring these things over their child, and their child got better. Now, it's not Elle's word. This is the word of God. I just put the scriptures together. I just did what he said to do. And I saw, and I was like, God, wow, I really wasn't going to write it, because I used to believe that in order for you to speak about anything, you needed a personal experience with it. But it's not necessary. Because if God has given you the word, if he's already put it on the inside of you, he's already equipped you with what you need for those you will encounter. And so that one, I kind of almost wanted to stay away from, but I'm so glad that I did. And the other one, the final one would be...
Let me just pause right there, because you're just on a roll today. I just want to inspire somebody, because this whole show was about inspiring people, right? You don't necessarily have to go through that particular journey, as Elle stated. Remember the Apostle Paul, he spoke about marriages. This man never been married, not a day in his life. He was inspired by God. All scriptures are given by the inspiration of God, and it's profitable for doctrine, for proof, for correction, for instructions in righteousness. Right? That's 2 Timothy 3, verse 16, somewhere around there. But my point is, he inspires us, right? He puts it in us. And once he does that, he takes over from there. He's the publisher. He's the editor. He's the promoter. He's the PR person. He's whatever else that he needs to do. And guess what? Let me tell you something. This is my personal life. God didn't tell me this now. I just telling you how I feel. I believe someone else was supposed to have done that book, and they slunk.
That's probably what it was.
So God was looking for a vessel that was available to say yes to. I talking to somebody here. Right?
I believe
so somebody was a Saul, and they dropped the ball, and God had to find a David.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
probably what it was.
Because in most cases, that person probably had the experience, but they was too afraid to write the book.
Yeah.
Or they started to write and then they got distracted.
Yeah.
And then they got afraid. And
Yeah.
then they didn't want to go and pursue the knowledge that is needed to go continue on and do what they have to do.
Yeah.
So God found Elle.
Yeah, listen, I totally agree with that. That Saul didn't have the Paul moment.
Oh.
And so God, because a lot of times we feel, people say, what for me, what for you is for you. But I want you to know that the Bible says that God will not strive with men.
Come on.
There's going to be a point where when you keep resisting,
Grace
he's going to
gone out.
say, okay, well, I'm going to leave you to
Yeah.
your desires and I'm going to find another one, because we will never stop or hinder the plan of God. There's always another one. So, it was King Saul who thought that was it. It was it for him. But
Yes.
God found the David.
That's it.
He found the David. And so I think we have to be careful with that. Yes, what for you is for you. God has it for you. But if you continue to tell him no, eventually he's going to find someone else that's going to say yes.
Listen, if you don't get nothing else today, get that. Because that's what we're appealing to. We're appealing to those who God has placed within themselves or in their spirit to write the book, write the vision, make it plain, so that people can actually see it and run with it and be inspired by it, or to change their lives or be transformed because of it. All right. Because if he placed something within you, clearly it's something that you need. Everything that you need pertaining to life and godliness, he's placed it in you. Yeah. And he's trusting you to go and do what needs to be done to get it out there for his kingdom advancement. But
glory.
If you don't want to do it, all right, let's go look for Jill.
Yes.
Let me go look for another Paul who ain't married to write the book about marriage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me do that.
That's it. That's it.
So let me have. I had to put a little pause there. I had to put a little pin there because somebody needed to hear that out.
Definitely.
So let me hear about the other book.
And the fourth book would be I'm So Dope, 90 Days to a God-Fitting You, right? Ooh. 90 Days to a God-Fitting You. And God gave me that because I remember when he gave me the name of my magazine, I'm Queen Magazine, it was all about, always making women feel like they're a queen. And I'm not talking about, you're not just looking at the outward appearance of a person, because a lot of times we are so judgmental. Yeah. And, we tend to just stick with the persons that look like they are well put together on the outside. But then there are persons who may not be who we typically deem beautiful in our eyes, that God wants them to see the beauty that's already on the inside of them. And it's all about speaking life. And so normally, if I talk to a woman, and even a man, hey queen, hey king, how you doing, or whatever. And because a lot of times just those words in of itself is planting a seed on the inside of them. And they're going to start to believe, wow, she called me queen, she called me king. And it's also going to change their attitude, how they were going. Probably they could have responded to you. They're not going to respond to you like that anymore. And so it kind of like tills the soil, tills the soil for you a little bit. And so I'm So Dope, 90 Days to God-Fitting You is all about teaching you how to appreciate the God in you. It's not about confidence and arrogance. Arrogance points to me. Confidence points to he. And so it's all about being confident in Christ.
You're taking notes? My girl coming right. Hey.
Arrogant. So it's about being confident in who he has called you to be, being confident in our Father. And so that's what that book is all about. It's all about, our stories, everything that we walk through, because there was a time when I was really young that I kind of struggled with my confidence a bit. But there was always something on the inside of me telling me that you're going to be great. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And one thing I was never worried about the numbers. See, a lot of times, and I don't want to go to ahead of you, but a lot of times why people don't want to release certain projects that God has given them, because they feel as though no one's going to read it. No one is going to buy it.
You really
no one is going to, no one is going to support me. But if only one person, if only God is go for the one. He goes for the one. We got to take ourselves out of the results. God didn't tell us to pay attention to the results. He just wants us to be obedient to the assignment, and he will deal with the results. And if only one person was blessed, a life was changed because of your story, then you will get that well done, my good and faithful servant, because you would have completed the assignment. We are so caught up with the numbers and the hype, because you feel as though your story doesn't have any power, but your story is so powerful. We go in for the one. Just the one. And if God wants to add 1 million onto that one, or 1,000 onto that one, then that's fine. But we are going for the one.
Let me tell you how I say how ahead she is of me. Let me ask the question that has already been answered. As someone who has overcome personal trauma and now uses storytelling to empower others, how important is it for aspiring writers to own their voice and story? And ladies and gentlemen, she already answered that.
Wow.
Listen, you ain't got to worry about the numbers. Just go ahead and
go.
write your story. Let your voice be told. Because at the end of the day, even if it's just one person, and see, we belittle this thing with this one person.
We do.
We belittle this little
That's
thing.
a whole
but
soul.
No, but let's go a little further. Let's talk about was not Ruth, who was the prostitute in the olden days, who came from whose lineage was of Jesus.
Oh, you're talking about the one from Jericho. Rahab.
Let's talk about one prostitute. One prostitute who changed the entire lineage. Okay, let's talk about Ruth, who was that one individual who was a widow who decided to go ahead and remain with Naomi. All right, let's talk about that one, David.
And do you realize that? And I just recently found out, I didn't know that Rahab was Boaz's mother.
I don't.
The prostitute Rahab.
That was Boaz's mother.
That's Boaz's mother. Yes, go and Google that. When I found out, I was like, "What?" Yeah. I said, "Hold on now, Ruth, the kingsman redeemer for the Moabites that helped Naomi." That came from, and I think it was Boaz. They had Obed and Jesse, and then David from Boaz, and that his mother was the prostitute who was not initially in the number, because she was in Jericho. She should have been destroyed, but because she was kind to the spies that God sent, her whole line was saved, and not just saved, she's now weaved into the lineage of Christ.
That's it.
That's powerful.
That's powerful.
And
that's one.
That's one.
Not
just one. Just one.
That's one. So the fact that, and I say all of this to say, the fact that even if you say, okay, I'm just going to change that one person mind can transform. And because of their transformed mind can impact thousands, even millions, even we have 7 point something billion people on the earth. Billions of people can be transformed because of your obedience. Yeah. So don't mind the numbers. That one was for me. I appreciate that. Thank you, Mom, for allowing God to speak through you.
God be glorified. Okay.
All right. I know that you wear many hats, Elle. Author, a speaker, a podcast host, a mentor, and a mom of 4.
Yeah.
How do you do it? Like how do you balance all of these roles and still find time to write and publish meaningful books?
I don't think the balance it isn't that everything is going to be balanced, but you have to prioritize what is profitable and purposeful in whatever season you may find yourself in. And so there may be seasons where I didn't write, because now that you talk about it, like every year I normally would release at least one book. I haven't released any books as yet. It normally would be before my birthday. My birthday is fast approaching. So I haven't even released any books, because that's not me actually writing isn't what I believe God has called me to do in this time. In this time, right? And so it's all about, being in tune with Christ and having a harmony, having a relationship with Him, because He's going to show you what needs to be put down, and what needs to be, what you need to pick up. And then in some seasons, He might tell you rest on something. And in 2 seasons later, He might say, I need you to pick it back up again. And so it's not, if you look at it as a whole, then you're going to get frustrated and overwhelmed. But you have to take it one step at a time, because today, even though you may have a season that you have multiple things to do, this week, God may say, you know what, I don't need you to do that. I need you to focus on this. Your kids may need a little bit more attention in this area, or, they're good. I need you to do this, and that. And so it's just about taking it one day at a time, because especially when God has called you to different sphere and atmosphere, in different realms, you have to just move with Him, because what you think you should be doing may not necessarily be what He wants you to do right now. I think it was who it was. Martha was busy. Yeah. And Mary was sitting at the feet.
And Jesus was right there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Right. She's not possible.
Yeah. Me and Elle need to slow down. I hope you all taking notes, man, because we want to make sure y'all get straight with these tickets and these books and these giveaways. So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to continue on this conversation right after this. Thank you. So y'all, guess what? So we're on our little break now. Elle is just, oh my gosh, she's a blessing. You'll understand how much of a blessing she is. I was just telling her how she's so filled with so much wisdom. And she's like, girl, Trishan, child, let's all experience. And she's so humble with it. But I'm just delighted to have her in the studio today and for her to share just a tiny bit of what it is that she knows. And I know that it will be a blessing for those who are tuning in. So I would advise you, please, to share the page, to tag people in the page, especially those who you know are aspiring authors. All right, your children, get them involved, let them tune in too. We have young writers. I have a lady on my Facebook account whose daughter wrote a book, very interesting book, and I can't remember. And I don't mind shouting her out. Let me see if I can find it now. Iandra Smith. All right, she has her daughter Zara, who wrote a book. I think it was a Little Princess book. You got that? Because you got that in that. No, you got it in that. Charles. Yeah, and so she. Let me read what she have on here. Friends, I was on a call with a senior Amazon executive years ago who said that less than 1% of self-published authors would get more than 100 Amazon reviews in their lifetime. In his words, it is extremely rare for self-published authors to cross 100 Amazon reviews in their lifetime. The Amazon formula tends to equate one Amazon review to 100 books sold, so 100 reviews would require 10,000 sales, which makes self-published authors simply unable to achieve. What he said was rare. A Bahamian mother with no marketing skills or marketing experience and her incredible daughter have far surpassed, and we are close to accomplishing 1,000 reviews, a feat often seen by celebrity authors or large publishing agency-backed books. We're at 3. Please, gentlemen, come fix this. Sorry about that. So we are. What am I saying? So she said that we're at 993 Amazon reviews and have sold more than 60,000 books. She's asking and appealing for those to help to get 1,000 by June. Zara is leaving this summer and I want to send her off with a bang. Let's do this. I hope that Zara has been able to achieve a testament to all that great things happen when you least expect it. So just take the first step. All right. Black Girl Magic is the name of the book. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Girl. I love that book. All right. Iandra Smith Bryan, I just wanted to dedicate this particular segment to you in this time. And I pray that you do achieve beyond the 1,000 that you get by June. And I believe that it's going to happen.
Yes, definitely.
All right. We Bahamians and we going to support.
Yes.
We're going to support. Welcome back. For those who are just joining us, we have with us in studio Elle Sapphire, all right, the number 4 bestseller author and a Bahamian literature, I forgot the word I was going to say. Literature activist. I gone blank for 2 seconds, girl. I don't know if that ever happened to you, but it's happened to me.
Yes, it does.
Okay. And she's out here telling us and teaching us about how to get our books published. Okay, I say for a reason. All right, and so now we're gonna ask her a few questions so that we're gonna know the step-by-step process of having to ensure that our books get on the shelves, ensure that our books get out there on Amazon and other key places where people can actually purchase it. So Elle, what are some key steps in the writing process that new authors often overlook?
Understanding what your why is. Why are you need to first understand why you're writing the book. What is the goal? Is this something that you want to scratch off your list? Are you doing it because you want to teach something? What is the reason? Are you doing it to make money? You need to understand your why, because that'll be able to help you manage your expectations as you go through your writing and publication journey. Another thing I think that authors need to understand is, being a self-published author, you have to understand that when you are going to put your book, whether it's in stores or on Amazon, and you can pay for you are the person that is going to need to sell that particular book. And so understanding that you are going to have to become the brand, become what you want people to actually buy into.
Purchase, yeah.
That's something that's important, because a lot of people that I've seen it, that we write books and then we leave it. We believe that when we put it on the shelf, it's just going to sell itself, but no, it's not. Because if you pay attention to even celebrities and those who are, you have presidents and prime ministers that are writing books and they're doing talk shows and they're doing the media. Why do you think that is? It's because they want to promote that book. Yes, even though they may already have a claim, a certain a level of influence or following, they themselves still need to promote, and they promote nonstop. So why do you think, as a self-published now with less money, less backing, less influence, that you're not going to have to do the exact same thing? You have to do the exact same thing on the scale that you're on. You can go to your local newspaper. You can come on shows like this. There are a lot of things that you can do, but a lot of times we write books and then we leave it on the shelf hoping that it sells itself, but no book sells itself, because you could look at from T.D. Jakes to Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama. They all promote their books. They have a media tour. They go from city to city, country to country, promoting one book at a time, not multiple. They promote one book at a time. And so if they have to put, with their influence, if they have to promote that way, what do you think you need to do as a self-published author? And I really think you can't just write the book and leave it on the shelf. Yeah, you could put it on Amazon, but even with Amazon, it's not necessarily going to sell itself either. And so there's still some promotion that you're going to need to do. You need to lead people to where your book can be found. And so this isn't an overnight thing. This is a well thought out plan. You need to have, month one, what am I going to do with my book? Who am I going to talk to? Where I'm going to go? Are you going to do pop-ups? Like, all of these things have to be considered, because a lot of people get discouraged because they think that when they write the book and they put it on Amazon, boom, magic is going to happen. No, there's more work that needs to be done. Okay, you already wrote the book. Now it's time for you to get that book in hands.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so when you're writing, don't just leave it there. No, just promote it. Go. And I would think months in advance, at least 2-3 months in advance. In fact, I know someone who did some promotions where they say, okay, we're going to put you on the list because the book ain't even printed yet. You know what I mean? But we're going to put you on that
and that's a strategy.
Yeah.
And so pre-selling your book is also a strategy. And I noticed one of your questions as it relates to becoming an Amazon bestseller. Not only an Amazon bestseller, even as it relates to a New York Times bestseller, it's all about numbers and timing, honestly. Everything, and I hate to say it this way, but everything is about it's manipulation and perception. Even as we look around the world right now, we have everything that's going on in the US as it relates to, what's real Gucci. Oh, it's made in China or Italy or all these different places. It's all about perception. And so even with titles, and I don't want to say it like this, because even with titles, one of the reasons why we use titles, like how in my bio you would say 4 times Amazon bestseller, right? We use that because it causes people to look a little bit closer, right? But really, what does it truly mean? Does being an Amazon bestseller, a New York Times bestseller, really translate into sales? Or really is it just a title that we use to add to our accolades to make us look a little bit more?
Well, answer that, sis.
Answer
that.
So I can answer it right now. Everything is about perception. Everything is about perception. Okay. And everything is a numbers game. With Amazon, right? With Amazon, this is one of the ways that you can become an Amazon bestseller. When you release your book, let's say, okay, so it starts from the category that you put your books in, and Amazon have so many categories because there's categories and then there are subcategories, right? And so in order, especially as a self-published author, in order to get your book even in the ranking to be seen, right, to be able to beat out all your competition, you have to find categories that are suitable to what you've written, but that has the least amount of competition. It has to have the smallest amount of books in that category. And so what Amazon does is it has a broad category. Then it has all these micro categories. Now you have to ensure that the categories you choose aligns with your book, because if it doesn't and Amazon finds it out, they will take your book off, because there have been people that would put their books in categories that isn't the category that the book should be in, because it's a smaller niche. And when it's a smaller niche and you're able to get some book sales, you can automatically rank to the top, because there isn't a lot of books in that category in the first place. And so understanding your categories and subcategories is important, because the less competition you have, the more availability you have to become that number one. Also timing, right? you will need to find, if you have a marketing company, and find out, what is the timings that persons are on Amazon buying books the most. So if you're able, let's say 3 o'clock, there aren't many people purchasing books at that time. At 3 p.m., if you have your marketing team or you're doing this yourself, and you have persons going to Amazon at 3 p.m. and Amazon just seeing Amazon, the algorithm is reading persons just purchasing this book at this time, your book is going to rank because it's your book is being sold at volume at a small amount of time. Now, if you stretch that out for like 24 hours, no, and you could sell the same amount of book in 24 hours and not become an Amazon bestseller because it's about the volume in a specific time.
Oh, I think I get that. I think I get it. Let me pause right there. So, for instance, for someone who writing a book about a cup, right? So I could come on a show. What time it is? It is 2:22. So that, well, yeah. Okay. So let's say at this particular time, Guardian Radio, for instance, we would have who's on now for Guardian Radio. We would have Chicago. No, Chicago's on at 4. We would have Howard is from 12 to 2, and 2 to 4. I think it's Chicago. Yeah, 2 to 4 is Chicago. So I would go and invest on an interview on Chicago show to talk about my book, and I would do something. I'm just giving some marketing strategies here, and I would say, look, if you go on right now, I would take $10 off this particular book for you. I'm going to give you this code to use, and you could put it in there. And at this particular time, only during the show can you use this. And would that work?
Yes, definitely. It would work because it's about timing and volume. And that's why you see, even with the New York Times bestseller, because I had interviewed a New York Times bestseller. I don't know if this is an old show. The title was Rizzoli and Isles. It's a show that used to come on TV, but that actually was formed from a book. And I interviewed the writer of the book. And so she was telling me how they become New York Times bestseller. When you see they're selling their books in that pre-sale for a year, they'll do a tour and they pre-sell it. So every book that they sold during that pre-sell period, when their book is actually launched, all of that number is going to go into that same first week. That's how they become, because it's about timing. So it has to be done. I don't know if it's in the first week for New York Times bestseller, but I do know that it is a short window of time. And so that's why they would do that year year pre-launch prior to. So all of the numbers that they would have sold in that whole year is going to go into the first week of sales, which puts them at New York Times bestsellers list. It's about timing. It's about perception as well, because you're thinking they're selling all those books in that first week. No, they've already pre-sold those books, and the numbers are not being counted while in the pre-sale stage because the book isn't live as yet. So now when the book is live and it's released, all of those numbers that they did for a whole year is now being pushed in sales for that first week, and that's one of the ways that persons become New York Times bestseller. It's a strategy. The more people you could get your book in front of, the more people that purchase it, especially in pre-sale stage, it gives you the great opportunity to become, and then also ensuring that, especially when it comes to celebrities or they're not releasing their book in times where someone else major is happening. So they're very strategic with that as well, because you don't want to be in competition with somebody whose name could be bigger than you on a movie or something like that. And so they're very strategic in how they release it. And and we can have the exact same mindset on our level. And that's why people need to understand that there's a lot of work behind the scenes that are happening. So when they see that first week, they're New York Times bestseller. No, that was a year's work or many years' work before they get to that point.
Let's do some little nuggets for people who are tuning in. You may have a Bahamian book going on right now that you want to release. All right, the best time, I think. Now, I don't know, because she's the expert. The best time, I think, to really promote it is now, because we're going into our independence in July. So, of course, you want to get that, hit it hard now. I hit the floor running now. But then, so when come July, when everybody, people in the month of July, we play more Bahamian music.
Very patriotic.
More festive, activities, festivities, and things that's happening. We're more pumped up because we feel more patriotic around that season. So it's like, okay, my book, my Bahamian things, or my folklore book, or whatever it is that you do in my Andres, because that's where I write it from. Go get them books, prepare your little marketing strategy, your pre-sale thing or whatever, do that now. So to come July, you're good and ready to go. Yeah?
Yes,
I like that.
yes,
Now,
yes.
I don't want to put too much effort on that at a time because that's actually one of my last questions, which you answered, right? Lord, come help us. All right. So let's go because we didn't talk about, okay, this is what you do if you want to write. The first thing you do is go ahead and journal. Okay. You also spoke about how, hey, what if I feel as if nobody wants to hear me? You know, you said, okay, guess what? All it takes is one person. So you're not considering just one person, but you're just saying, okay, the least that could happen is one person reading your book, right? Because that one person could make a whole big impact and a bunch of big difference. Okay. I wanted to ask, what are some mistakes that you think first-time authors make when trying to get their books published? Because I know, like you said, I allowed the conversation to linger to Amazon because we ain't supposed to be there yet. We're talking about now, okay, not even before that, looking for an editor. What are some nuggets that you can give to look for a really good editor, and what are some mistakes you think people make when looking for an editor?
I think before you even hire an editor, you both need to have a conversation, especially if this is a story about your life, because the person really have to understand your voice. They really have to understand, you know, where you're coming from, because you can take your book to an editor and they can change the whole sound, the whole voice of your story. So it is important for you both to understand. They have to understand what you're trying to convey.
Right.
You need to have a conversation with them first, so to see if they also have your heart, because what you may be trying to say, they may not be receiving. So while they're editing, they're not editing in your voice, they're editing in theirs.
Yeah.
So it's important, especially when it comes to your life story. Now, if you're doing some technical book, then that's fine. But when it comes to your life story or something along those lines, you have to ensure that the person that you're hiring is someone who understands your voice. So having a conversation with them is very important, because they could change the very tone or the outlook of what you want your book to be. So if it's a technical, it's not too much as long as that person is efficient in editing. But anything as it relates to your life story or something where you're really teaching a lesson, you have to be careful, because you want to ensure that they preserve your sound.
I love that. That is
Preserve your sound.
Y'all ain't have to pay for this consultation, you know. That's free. That's free today. All right. I love that. What else should we look for in finding an editor? And it's okay not to have an editor. You could have your best friend read it. No.
If your best friend is an English teacher or a teacher, I've seen it. Yes, go right ahead. Go right ahead. We understand that self-publishing is most times it's on a budget. And so if you have someone who has that knack for editing, then that's fine. I know typically allowing at least 3 persons. You can have an editor and you have 2 other persons who may not be on that editing level, but are able to understand or are good readers, and they read books and understand a little bit of things. Let another person read your book as well, because the way you read your book is not how people are going to receive it. And so it's important to hear the opinion of about 2 or 3. The Bible saying 2 or 3 witnesses with every word be established. So you need about 2 or 3, your editor and 2 other persons, to read your book, so that you could understand exactly how your message is being received, because we can say it one way, but people can receive it in a different way. And we are writing it for them. So we need to be mindful still of how they're receiving the message we're trying to convey. Another thing I see, especially when it comes to writing books about yourself, people... Your book is being, if you're an unknown person, if you're not a celebrity and your face is on your book, what's really going to sell your book is the title and how professional your cover looks. And so for self-published authors, you have to really think about your cover. Your cover is what sells the book. Even in having Through the Pages bookstore, when I noticed when tourists would visit, all of the books are Bahamian authors, and so they're looking at the cover of that book. And if that cover of that book doesn't look professional or isn't able to
appealing,
next to the New York Times bestselling authors, then you're going to be left to the side, because you're already an unknown author. And so the only thing that I'm coming to your book for right now, as a person who don't know you, is the title and the cover. So your title and your cover is very important, and you should take a lot of time developing that, because you're unknown. If I put Beyonce's photo on a book, she's recognizable. They're going to buy the book because she's recognizable, but you're not recognizable. So what is going to attract your book? It's going to be the cover. When they come at the cover, okay, you get them with the cover. Now, what is in the back of it, your blurb, and then
Yeah.
that is going to be the thing that drives the purchase. And so understanding and really taking your time on developing your cover is and your name is going to be important. Also, another hack to names is that book titles can't be copywritten, right? And so a hack that some authors, and what I've learned in some of my authors group, especially as it relates to Amazon, if you have a name similar to a name that's popular, that's another hack. If you have a name that's similar to a name that's popular and people are already searching that, chances are your book is going to come up with that as well. Now, it's not going to be in the top. It's not going to be in the top searches because the popular books in with that similar name is going to be in top
first.
searches.
Yeah.
But your book is going to be somewhere down there.
Is that
So
a
that's
good thing or a bad thing?
no, it's a hack. It's
Yeah.
because book titles can't be copywritten.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
that's
So y'all
yeah.
gotta decide what y'all gonna do. Go type out the title that you want. Make sure they are
Mhm.
in there, and then you go from there.
yeah.
So with editors, then
Mhm.
how does one look for publishers and editors? How do you determine, not only because of the voice, because now you're dealing with a publisher who's actually going to do all the printing and all this other stuff. Now, how do you go looking for someone like that? What are some hacks for
A
that?
publisher.
Yeah.
Now I know that we have local publishers, and I am not too familiar with our local publishers, but I would say, shop around home first.
Yeah.
Give local talent a try. I truly believe in giving local talent a try. However, when I started writing, I was in the US at the time, and so I used the resources that was available to me at that time, and it was more cost efficient. And so when it comes to publishers, aside from editors, because editor, you need to find an individual person or company, depending on what your budget is. And you can go, and there are like sites like Fiverr where you can find editors, or you can go to schools, teachers, they do these things on the side. So that, and or students that are in college doing these things, and those are going to be more cost effective, especially the students in college. If you want to use one of those as editor, that would be good, because my first illustrator was a college student who was studying animation. And so he was very cost effective because he was in school at the time. And so utilizing college students who are studying these areas are good. Yes. So that's a good place to start. That college pool is a good place to start, especially if you want that individual attention, because on Fiverr, you're going to be able to speak to the persons, but you don't have that real relational, that relationship with the person. So if you want to start somewhere close to home, start with the colleges around you, with students who are already studying in those areas. And with publishers, like I say, start home first, and then you have online publishers. You have Amazon. Amazon is I believe Amazon may be the most cost effective one, because it's basically a zero startup. Now, if you want to purchase your proofs, then there's a fee. There are many online publishers, and every one of them have different requirements. Amazon, I think, maybe but as far as I know, maybe the only one with zero startup cost. But with some of them, there is a cost for like your ISBN number. That's the number that's in the back, your barcode number. And some of them may have a cost for, set up on different things of that sort. But I know Amazon most definitely is the most cost effective one thus far, but they all do an exceptional job. And now you have self-published. They're now publishing not only paperbacks, but also hardbacks now. So they're leveling up and causing your book now to be more competitive, because everybody knows it's self-published author's book is going to be paperback, but that hard more and allows you to stand out along with those ones who are the New York Times bestselling authors.
Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
All right. I love the fact that you were able to explain all of that. Now let's go to, how do you put your book now? How do you put it on these, give it to these different places
online
to sell? And how can you sell or market your book after you've already publish it?
Okay, so most of these sites are, all of them are user friendly, and so it is going to take you through the step-by-step process for you to upload your books. Now, normally people, that's a service that some people offer, like we offer that, but I prefer to teach people how to do it, because once you do it once, you will always be able to do it without having someone else to do it for you. And so most of them are user friendly, and you can follow the steps on how to upload them. Once you've already uploaded your book and they've already approved it, because they do their own copyright checks, they do that, and so they will let you know if your book is in the right dimensions and all the setup or whatever. They will let you you know if there's anything wrong. If they see any copywritten stuff in there, they're going to flag it. They are going to let you know. They do their checks as well. And so once your book is already up on the platform, now the work is entirely on you. You can pay for ads, but if you don't understand, a lot of times people don't understand ads, and that's like a whole giant in of itself. To understand how ads work and how you'll be able to maximize your money. And so if you put up your book on Amazon, and you don't have a budget, I would say utilize your social media platform. And as a matter of fact, you're supposed to be doing that prior to the book's release. You know, even interviewing other authors, creating a podcast, creating quotes and sharing it along your social media and your WhatsApp contacts. You want to build anticipation for your book, sharing a little snippets here and there about what's coming soon, doing the TikTok videos. Like, you literally have to do the work. You may have to be your photographer, your videographer, your own PR person, but that work will work out for you if you do it consistently. It is impossible for me to come here every day and put one pebble in here and it not amount to anything.
Right.
You would have so much, almost create a wall in here. And so consistent effort is what's going to give you the breakthrough, but you have to start somewhere. And so after you've already uploaded your book, like I said, you're supposed to be doing that pre-work. Take a note, take a page out of your favorite celebrities' books. These are the things that they do. And you're just doing it on your scale, on your level. Set yourself apart. Start to market yourself. Start to speak more about your book, because it's these things that open doors. It was through God using my book to open doors for me to speak at places, because okay, she wrote this book, now she's talking about this. Okay, now you have another source of income being opened up to you. They want you to come and speak here. They're flying you this place and that place, and so you don't look at your book as just one book. That's an enterprise.
That's an open door.
That's an open door. And so once the book is out, do pop-ups. Go, there are so many pop-ups. We have pop-ups all over the place, all over and not just in Nassau, the Bahamas, the US. Do not limit yourself, because you can apply to be a vendor at a lot of different conferences that would be beneficial to you and your book. And so that those are some of the things that I would say. And don't give up. Sales may not always be what you want it to, but understand that consistent effort is what leads you to your breakthrough.
Consistency plus overtime equals profit. All right. That's something that has always been a mantra of mine. Consistency plus overtime equals profit. Now, as we are wrapping up, of course, as I told you from the time I called you, I said, listen, now let me tell you something. I said, I am doing this show, and I just feel in my spirit that there are some people out there who are just sitting on books and they are afraid, and they probably, one, they don't know what to do. Two, they don't know how to start. Three, they may have already had a manuscript but don't know how to move forward. And I say, hey, I gotta bring you on here so that we can ensure that we release these people to go and do what needs to be done. All right. And so you literally came here and did exactly that. You did it from the start to the finish. You encouraged, you motivated, you inspired, you talk about your own journey. You talk about, things the mistakes that people make. You gave nuggets on how to go about doing things, finding the best editors, and obviously looking for someone who has your voice, etc. And so I want to thank you in advance for that, because I do have one or two other questions for you, but these particular questions have a lot to do with because I don't know, because your partner isn't here, so I'm not going to ask too much questions. But through the Pages bookstore, I want to congratulate you and your partner, first of all, because I think this is the first ever Bahamian bookstore. Because we had a couple other, but they had other books and international books there, whatever have you. Is this just want to clear this up? Is this only Bahamian authors, or you do have international authors in there as well?
It's only Bahamian authors. And to even talk about Through the Pages now, we're transitioning from a brick and mortar to online only. Okay. Our website should be launched. Should be launched within the week, or probably by next week.
See,
so
this is news.
yes, so yes, it's
tell us this,
yes, so yes, we're moving from the brick and mortar and online. Yes, and we only sell Bahamian books written by Bahamian authors. We just celebrate our year, and we learned a lot in the year as it relates to what people gravitated to, what were the best sellers, what people were. I can share what we are lacking in the Bahamas, even from because where we were situated, we was on Bay Street, so we had a lot of tourists that came in, and one of the things that they were looking for a lot of they were looking for comics. Now, we didn't have a lack in children's books.
Right.
They were looking for more stories of Bahamian history.
Wow. We
They
have a lot of that though.
yeah, but from the books that we had, from like a regular Bahamian standpoint, not like a
Okay.
history book, but
Okay, I
like
get
from a
it.
story from a
Okay.
regular person. So they were looking for more story. They were looking for comics, looking for stories more about the Bahamas from a personal
Yes.
standpoint. We didn't publish books in terms of personal stories and trials and triumphs. But I don't, based on what I see, those weren't the top sellers.
Mhm.
It was the children's books, and it was those books that were really, really Bahamian centered. Even though we have Bahamian authors in the store, a lot of those books weren't written from a Bahamian perspective. You know what I'm
Yeah, I
saying?
get it.
So the guests were looking for more stories that were centered around the Bahamas.
I get it.
They're Bahamian authors, but a
Right.
lot of the stories weren't
Local
Bahamian
and
centered.
native. They wanted to be native.
Yes.
I get
So
that.
we find that those books did very well. We had a book about the swimming pig, the first swimming pig.
Hold on. Because I be talking to someone, and I just say out of the blue, out of all the different things, what I say, I said, independence right around the corner.
Yes.
So if you didn't have your book there, talking about your old Andres and all these different places and your culture and all these different things, those books are going to sell.
Yes.
All right. See her here?
Mhm.
She's the proof.
Yes.
Because it's in the numbers,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Go ahead, Mom. Continue.
Yes, those stories with the authentic, even though, like I said, Bahamians have written all the books, but
Mhm.
those weren't like, a lot of the books weren't Bahamian centered. And so the guests leaned more to stories like that. Like we had a book, say Ice the Conch. This was about relationship, and like the people were purchasing
So
that. People were purchasing that. Eyes of Bahamian Princess was a popular. Then we
Yes.
had the first swimming pig. Like these were stories that people were really interested in because it's not only written by a Bahamian, but it
Right.
also has a Bahamian perspective.
Right. The culture.
You know, yes,
They
and that's
wanna
what
learn
they
about what we're
that's they
doing.
wanted more. They wanted more of that, and so and also we noticed even from the covers that had person's face. My first book has my face on it, but the only difference with that is I believe it's because of the title, the story, how I
Yeah.
escaped the prison of rape. So automatically, if someone wants to read that, they already know that this book is centered around
rape.
sexual
Yeah,
violence,
yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so if you are someone that's putting your face on the book and the title isn't something that really catches them, it's going to be overlooked. That's
Yeah.
why I talked about it, because if your face is not recognizable, that's not going to be the thing that catches them. It's
Yeah.
the cover and the title. So you
Yeah.
have to you have to really think about that, especially being an unnamed or unknown author,
Mhm.
what you putting on your cover and how that is presented, because that's what sell the book. Your book can be foolishness, but people are buying it from the cover. You know what I'm saying? So the cover of the book matters. Yes, we judge the book by its cover. It
And
matters.
it's true.
It
Okay?
matters.
It does.
It truly matters.
I love that.
It matters.
All right. So how would you encourage? We want you to encourage someone who wants to do it, but they are fearful. They want to write the book, but they're afraid to do it because we already tell them how to do it. So it ain't like, oh, we don't have to, they lack in the knowledge, because they have the knowledge now, but now it's the launching that they're afraid of. How would you encourage someone in that state?
Before I answer that, let me go back to editing real quick.
Okay.
Now, as we all know, that there are a lot of AI editors out there, right? And the thing is, and they're very useful, but a hack that I've found, say you don't have any money and you're starting from the bottom and you want to get something out there, right? And you had a few people read over it, but you couldn't pay an actual editor.
Right.
Let me tell you the way that I use ChatGPT. You have to, it's AI, it's programmed, it's trained, and you're training it, because that's what we're doing. We're training it to sound like you, but it already has its own voice. If you use ChatGPT, you could kind of tell when someone is using it, because it has its own voice in a sense, right? It has its own voice,
vocabulary too.
But what you can do in editing, when you give it something to edit, you have to be very specific. One thing that I do when I do use ChatGPT is I said, I need you to keep the voice of the original piece. I need you to edit it and to organize it so it flows, but stay true to the original voice. You have to be very specific, because it will, you could give it a paragraph and it'll change the whole paragraph into something totally different. And it does not even sound authentically like you. But when you jobs, you have to be very specific because they're going to it's going to follow what you ask for.
Yes.
And if you're vague, they're going to give you
Vague
vague.
answer.
They're going to give
Yeah.
you vague answer.
Mhm.
And so once you whatever you put in there, just ask it to stay true. And as you continue to use it, it'll continue to learn how you speak,
And
and
how
it'll
you
begin to
think.
speak just
Yeah.
like you. And so if you want to use it, I mean, you can use those things. That AI isn't going anywhere.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, a lot of people are afraid of it. But the thing about it is everything that is created creates other jobs. Yes, it's going to make some jobs obsolete, but it's also going to create other jobs because now, especially when it comes to AI, you're now going to have to detect. And when you look at even from the criminal aspect, like what is a fake, what is AI, what is human, like, so it's going to create a whole new set of jobs with new set of certifications. And so these are things that we need to be afraid of. But new things are going to come on. Again, if you're writing a book and you're afraid,
Hold
listen
on.
to me.
Sorry.
Mhm.
We're going to take a break and then I'm going to let you have that whole thing for yourself.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be closing up after this break. So just before we go on the break, let me give you all the number. 1-242-376-8689. 376-8689. I want you to give me 3 steps, 3 things that my guest Elle has stated in reference to producing a book or publishing a book rather. All right. So 3 points or 3 nuggets that she gave. All right. And of course, we want to give those first because we have 4 gifts to give away. But of course, the ones who have written 2 books already are gonna be the ones that are the first preference. Okay. So and then of course those who are inspiring to write, you have that opportunity as well to win the prizes. I hope I'm making sense. But I just want to make sure I want to reward those who've already purchased, who've already published their books.
Mhm.
And then of course those who are aspiring authors,
Mhm.
we want to of course encourage you to
Mhm.
go ahead and do so. So we want to give you prizes as well. All right.
Okay.
We have awesome prizes as I've stated at the beginning of the show. So give us 3 nuggets. I said 3
Three,
nuggets
mhm.
that Al has stated in having to publish a book, and those prizes are yours.
This hour.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So for those who are tuning in via Facebook, thank you so much for tuning into the show. And of course, whatever questions that you may have, we're going to ask Elle to answer them individually or whenever she has an opportunity, she will give you those answers. Okay. What's up, beats? Y'all, I want y'all to know. I have to tell y'all. I have to brag, but my one good beats. Ain't nobody else like Beat. Nobody. Remember the last show I told you, I said Beats was his final day to produce Your Lane Talk Show because he has retired and moved on to greener pastures. And when I say greener pastures, Beats look better. Beats talking better. Beats doing everything better. I mean, I ain't gonna say that because I could get him in trouble because I love his wife, so I ain't gonna say that. But Beats living good, because he has retired and he is doing his thing. Listen, I mean, he has resigned. I don't like the term resign because he's resigned to do other things. Beats is living his life. Beats is being called upon all over the place because he's just that good. But he came here to do this for me. And I can tell you why at the end of the show, oh Lord, I'm knocking Jesus. Oh Lord. I can tell y'all why at the end of the show, okay? That's a juicy one too. That's a juicy announcement. All right. How you feeling?
Good.
Good.
We about
to leave.
Yeah.
We wrapping up soon. Let me know when we can come back on. What I do again?
No, yeah. You used to be a police officer, right?
You know, from being a police officer, you know, from the show.
No, I remember from the show.
Okay.
Remember when I said it was a particular show that I liked a lot?
Yes.
Not just because of the context of it,
It was the
but
show.
because of how spooky it was.
It was this?
It was her.
Oh!
Yeah.
You know what I was saying? I was like, every time she was
But you didn't remember, you didn't tell us what the show was. Did you?
The show was a heavy show.
It's about trauma.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
about trauma.
Yeah.
And I was like, when this one person was talking, this problem that never happens just keep happening. I was like, bro, this woman have a message. That's someone in
Yes,
one
I remember.
Yeah.
He did say that because
Yeah.
I did my third year anniversary show,
Mhm.
and I asked Pete who was his favorite show,
Mhm.
and he said the show with you. But he
Wow.
didn't know your name, and he didn't know the name of the show,
Mhm.
but he was referencing that,
Mhm.
which is of course the show that you.
Wow.
And again, we have this weird issue.
The devil is the liar.
I have been noticing that we've been
Yeah.
coming off and on the screen.
Yeah,
Yes, I have
that's
noticed that.
Crazy.
Yes, but the audio is still available.
Yeah, the audio is good.
Okay, good. I have noticed that. Let me know when we're going back on.
Sure.
Okay.
Just a minute.
Oh yes, because we were switching up the cameras the last time for True.
was-
I know
it
it was the
was
sun.
crazy.
Yeah, I
It
remember.
was,
Yeah,
it was the last time it was the mic.
the mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that literally never ever has happened before. Like ever. Like ever.
Wow.
And our message was very strong too.
Very strong.
Mm-hmm. Today's message was strong too. I
It
felt
is?
that very powerful. You know how much people sitting on. You know, Dr. Miles Monroe said the richest place ever
Graveyard.
is the graveyard.
Mhm.
That's where the authors are.
He ain't lying.
That's where the creativity is.
That's one regret I have, that I never went this church, or I never met him when he was alive.
What? Listen, I don't, God rest his soul, and I say this with love and reverence. His last week was with us
Yeah.
because he was doing interviews on Guardian Radio and stuff like that for his the conference that
Yeah, it
was
was
in
in
Freeport.
Freeport.
Yeah,
Mhm.
every single day he was there, every day.
Wow.
Cracking up joke right in the hallway with us.
Wow.
Well,
I wish I had known him.
Mhm.
That's wise,
Mhm.
man. Gee,
May you rest in peace.
yeah.
All right, so let me know when you're ready, Beat, so we could get back on. We taking full advantage of all this wisdom. This good godly wisdom. So I could say, I met Elle,
No.
and she gave me this information. All right. Welcome back, y'all. We're on our last leg here at Your Lane Talk Show. And of course, we have with us Elle Sapphire, who's just helping us out with publishing and, well, first of all, putting the idea on books, okay? Putting the idea on paper, rather. Journaling, writing the vision, and going past the fear because you know that somebody needs to hear it. You know that someone needs to be transformed for whatever reason. It don't even have to be your particular story, but whatever it is, whatever knowledge that you have. And sometimes you don't even have the knowledge. Sometimes you just hear God say, write this thing, and you go ahead and you do it out of obedience. So we do that. And then we look for an editor that is suitable, who has our voice, where we can actually gel to the point where they understand the vision and they're running with it, not just any and everybody just because they call themselves an editor. Or if you do not have the finances to get a professional editor, you can go and look for your school literature teacher or English teacher who may have a better understanding or a better eye with grammatical errors, etc., who can actually assist you with that. And then she said, not just one person, at least 2 or 3, so that they can actually hear or look and see from their perspective, and not just your perspective of how the book should be. You get a better intake too from their constructive criticism. Okay. And then after that, of course, looking for a really good producer, publisher, someone who is able to ensure that the book is neatly done and prepared, to have a nice illustrator, being mindful of what I'm going ahead of myself, making sure that the title is suitable and catchy, all right, so that people can actually see it and drawn to it. And then, of course, the illustration or whatever have you what's in the front of the book, so that people can be drawn to it. And even before that, marketing your book, pre-selling your book in advance, so that especially if people don't know who you are, so that you have a better so that people can have a better, you could have a better leverage as far as sales is concerned in advance, all right? Because that helps, of course, with numbers, especially if you're putting it on places like Amazon, etc. The volume is what matters, all right? And then, of course, you got your publisher ensuring, and I think I said this already, but I just want to emphasize, making sure that they produce the book efficiently and effectively for you. And of course, after all of that is done, you're still going back out there and marketing, being your own PR, or you're going to hire a publicist, whatever it is that needs to be done to ensure that the book is out there and it's in the hands of those who need it most. Okay. And now we're ending the show talking about, okay, what's next? Because you do have some people who have done all of that and may still be afraid, who still may not want to be able to go out there and talk about that book. Or do you have some people who know that they have to write the book, but haven't done so yet for whatever reason? And I think most of which is fair. So we're pulling from you now, your wisdom to help inspire, what you've already been doing anyway, but just to continue on inspiring those who want to go ahead and just make it happen.
Well, you hit the nail right on the head with the fear thing, and that fear really is rooted to something that's unhealed. You know, keeping you from sharing your story. Is it shame? Is it the fear of people, you know, changing their view on how they, or their perception of you? You know, what is it? Because the fear is connected to some unhealed version of you. And it's definitely an indicator that there's some work that need to be done. Because God hasn't given us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of love, power, and of a sound mind. If he's given you the unction to function, why aren't you? No, why aren't you? There is some unhealed something that he's going to need you to bring to him, because as you bring it to him, because, you know, one of the things, even though God knows everything that happened in our mind, he knows everything that we're going through, he still requires us to come to him with these things. He still requires us to confess it with our mouth and be like, God, you know, this is where I'm failing. I need you to work it out for me. And so if you're allowing fear to keep you hostage to sharing a story, you know, God has given you, it's because there is some unhealed version of you that needs to be dealt with. That's really what it is. You know, because when I think about it, if I have to use myself as a gauge, and I look at, you know, when I wrote my first published book, How I Escaped the Prison of Rape: The Journey to Total Freedom, that incident happened in 2005, but that book wasn't released until 2016. That wasn't released until 2016. And so from 2005 to 2016, God had me on a journey. He had me on a journey to unlearning and learning and understanding, and, you know, staying in his word to figure out, you know, how am I going to be able to Romans 8:28 this story? And so it took from 2005 to 2016 for God to work on me to get it out. So that wasn't overnight for me. Even though I know that the book would be written, I didn't know when it would be written. But as I took that journey with him, he was able to give me the release and the healing that I need to write the book. And so, especially as it relates to writing a book, anything that God tells you to do is already wrapped up in it's obedience, wrapped up in the gift, wrapped up in some type of reward at the end of the day. And so you have to understand, you know, are you more loyal to the fear, or are you loyal to the God?
That part.
You gotta
choose.
You have to choose you this day. Yes. choose which, you know, who are you more loyal to? And so when you understand that, you know, that's why he told us not to watch men in their faces. When you've already been given that word, he's already given you the unction to function. Even though you may feel like you're not qualified, the Holy Spirit, he will qualify you. He's your teacher. He will make you sound intelligent. He will give you what you need. He will direct you as to the things that you need to study, or the things that you need to work on in your own self, so that you could become more confident. Because at the end of the day, God is not going to send you out to make you look like a fool. No, he's not a fool. He's a king, right? He's in the court jester. No, he is the king. He sits on the throne. And so he's not going to send you out if you're not equipped. So if God is unctioning you and pushing you forward, it means that you have all that you need to get done what he needs done.
Listen to me. Who better to qualify you than God himself, the creator of everything? Who's the better publicist? Because you can't pay him. I can tell you that right now. And you can't pay a publicist what God can do, the things that he can do. Who could put you in better rooms? Okay, open better doors for you than God himself. So if you don't trust him, then who you trusting? Sis, bro, who are you trusting? Who are you depending on? So while you were talking, you ministered to me. You ministered to me. I love the fact that you said, you know, he's going to be the one to give you everything you need. And as I said earlier, he's giving you everything you need pertaining to life and godliness. He's equipping you. And what you don't have now, he's going to make sure that you have it. No matter what. So go and launch. Go into the deep.
Go. Oh,
just do it.
Now you're preaching to me.
Oh,
now you're preaching to me.
Just do it.
Go into the deep. That's what I really believe that's the word that God is calling us to go. He's rising up the scribes. He's rising up the prophetic voices, or the voices, just the teachers, the persons with the stories. The Bible declares that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of your testimony. There are people that are dying because you refuse to speak. You refuse to speak. You refuse to speak because who's going to listen to me? No one's going to listen to me. And that's also an avenue of pride. That is pride also, that false humility. You think, I'm not going to do it because, I'm not this. I don't have this degree. I don't have that. That's not humility. That's pride, especially if God has told you that this is what I need you to do. And you still sitting down. I don't think I don't speak like this. Well, Moses, if you need help, let me send Aaron with you then. You need help? Let me send Aaron. Let me send Aaron. Okay, you can't speak. Okay, I can send you some help. I can send you some divine assistance. Since you think you can't do it, let me just send you Aaron. Okay, I give you Aaron. Now you still complaining?
Oh my goodness.
I give you help and you still ain't going?
Mom,
No.
this was just mentioned in something that I came out of last night. All right, everything you just said.
Wow.
Everything you just said, especially with Moses. All right, so that. Lord, this show was for me. I don't think this show was for anybody else. I think this show was for no, but seriously, listen to me. Go ahead. God is gonna equip you if he has to bring somebody with you. And I think it was you who just said watch out for Aaron too, because even Aaron is a distraction. Was it you?
No.
Somebody told me, because that's a sweet message right
That's
there.
good for true.
Someone said
Aaron
to
is a
me,
distraction.
yes, God is going to give you Aaron, but Aaron is only for a certain season. But if you
Yes.
don't watch out for him, he's going to be a distraction.
That's good.
Why?
Yeah.
Because you are holding and clinging onto him when you should be relying and depending on God.
That's true. That's good. Gotta be careful. Aaron can become a distraction.
Oh,
That's
Aaron
good.
could become an idol.
That's true. Depending on
And then,
true.
God, he hates idols. So once
Yeah.
he see you have an idol in your life, he about to hold his hands like this and say, okay, I'll wait.
Yeah.
So I honestly pray that this show has been a blessing for you. We are wrapping up right now. And of course, I have to do some missing. So so I am going to just read some announcements until he comes back. And I want to thank you, Elle, once again for being a part of the show. You've been a blessing, and you've sacrificed even your time, and want to thank you for that. And I pray that God will continue to bless you and everything that you put your hands to, even your children and your children's children.
Yes.
All right. I thank you so much. And we can see that you are a creator or creative, I should say. So the things that you're doing, you're going out there, you're using the talents and the gifts that God has given you, and he's going to continue to equip you to do just that. Eyes have not seen, neither have ears heard the things that he have for you, my lady. Just take it all in.
I receive it.
Because you are a willing vessel, and he wanted to find someone that he could trust. He searches the earth looking for people that he can trust. And my sister, I believe that you are one of them.
I receive it in the name of Jesus.
So I want to thank your Lane Talk Show sponsors, John Shoe Store and Accessories, Emmanuel Medical Center. Of course, you can give them a call at 393-9355, Lysol Disinfectant, Airwick, Del Monte, Tropical Gyros, and Your Lane Life Coaching. Ready to transform your life and relationships? At Your Lane Life Coaching, we help couples build strong relationships, purposeful relationships, and a God-centered life. From premarital coaching to marriage restoration, we guide you every step of the way. Book your session today. Visit www.yourlanelifecoaching.com or call us at 1-242-376-8689. Your lane is waiting. Are you ready to walk in it? Beats be Her camera is off. Thank you, Beats. Don't you just love her? Don't you just love Beats? Elle, I don't know what's going on. There you go. It's been off. It's not too left. The camera, right. So I'm hoping that they
But once the mic, they can hear me though.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay, that's
good.
beautiful.
That's
and then
good.
it went off again, sir. Okay, so in closing, I just think that today's show was very inspiring and empowering. It was a really good conversation for what you've heard, Beats. I'm sure you could say so, right? Camera's off again. a huge thank you to, and by the way, because you don't really call, I don't hear you saying your full name, Linnell, like that, right? Yeah, that's fine. I don't think I was supposed to say that. But
That's fine.
anyway,
That's fine.
but of course, like I said, she's given us such wisdom, and her transparency is, top notch. All right, for those who going through things, you want to write it down, go ahead and do just that. And of course, her encouragement and the tips that she used to help. I'm sure that you're going to use it. I know this was a show for you to launch.
Yes.
Go ahead and launch.
Go
All right,
into
her
the
journey
deep.
proves that your story truly has the power to heal, uplift, and transform lives. She had to go through something. She wrote about it, and now she's one of the top sellers because of her journey. And what else could God could do things for you too. He is no respecter of persons.
None.
You've been through something, write it out, talk about it, open your mouth, share it. Don't worry about, like she said before, reminding us the faces of man. All right, don't worry about judgments. They're going to come anyway.
Mm-hmm.
All right. To those listening, if you've been sitting on a book idea or holding back your voice, let today be your sign to start. Every great author began with just one sentence and the courage to share it. And before we wrap up, I want to share something important with you. This is my final episode here on Star 106.5 FM. It is a bittersweet moment, but I'm so grateful for the journey that we have shared here for those who are star people. Okay. It's not goodbye, it's just a new chapter. Starting in July, your Lane Talk Show will officially be on Guardian Talk Radio 96.9 FM. That's us just across the road. Still coming in the Guardian building. I'm just gonna walk past Star FM door to go back to the Guardian in the back where the Guardian is. All right. We're gonna continue to bring you impactful conversation. And of course, it will be, I think, to a wider audience, right? And I hope you'll join me there as we continue to grow together. Until then, just what? Keep writing, okay? Keep believing in yourself. And as always, where's my camera? Stay in your lane, all right? Until next time. Before I even say bye, I want Elle to shout out who she needs to shout out, especially for our beautiful children. Give a shout out. Steph, I ain't gonna let you know how to do that.
Wow, and especially this being a historic show because this is the beginning of a new beautiful chapter for you. So I pray blessings, 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 blessings on everything that you touch, and that God continues to expand your borders and He continues to use your voice to transform lives of those around you. And so, of course, I got to shout out my Jalen, Danielle, Eris, and Eden. Love you guys to pieces. I thank God for them. Literally, it's like they are my first, they're like the training ground, like Eden was like the training ground for Adam because that's where he learned all his trades and everything. Like that's my training ground. Like, can you mentor these? Can you help to lead them? And so, I just give God thanks and praise for them. I would have never pictured myself with 4 children, but I'm so glad that God blessed me with them.
We don't know you out there because you look at 16, 17.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. Out to your beautiful children. I know they're blessed. I know that they are wise. I know that they get insight from you. So that's a blessing. So thank you for that. And so for those who don't know, or those who just joining us at the last minute,
start shop, I think.
Okay,
I'm a safe. I don't want to send them to the wrong place, but do go on our Facebook page because that's where all of the information is going to be. Yes. Okay.
We really got to go for true this time. Okay. So now when y'all see me or hear from me again, of course you could still watch the previous shows on YouTube, Coach Trish Hannah, all the shows from show 1, episode 1, straight to this very last show, which is what 135. Okay,
135.
so 135th show today that we are ending, and we want to say thank you. It's been 3 beautiful years, and to God be all the glory. The whole purpose of the show is to ensure that women are empowered, educated, and encouraged. And I will continue to do that by God's grace over at my sister station, Guardian Talk 96.9 FM. In July, that very first Sunday in July, y'all come tune in because we can be bigging up every Bahamian ever. This whole month, I done ready done plan it. The month of July, God's willing, we just doing everything Bahamian. I want to go to the authors, other than my lady here. We're gonna do the chefs, the Bahamian chefs. We're gonna do the Bahamian entertainers. Every Sunday can be something Bahamian. That's how we doing it, right?
Awesome.
Okay, that's what we doing. All right. So blessings to you. Have a happy Sunday. Until next time. Blessings.